Hello everybody, Salzcraft here, and today we have the 2018 iPhone 10R. And 8 years later, we'll see how this holds up today in 2026. Now, realistically, this phone is no longer supported as of September 2025 as its last version is iOS 18. As we can see here, hold on. Yep. So it's currently on the second latest version of iOS 18.7.8, which is still actually pretty good because if it got iOS 26, the phone would have been way more laggier as due to the liquid uh, glass and all that. So yeah, it doesn't really matter because the phone is 100% supported still, so you can completely use this as a daily driver still if you still own one. However, what I'm going to be getting into today is if it's still a usable, functional, basic phone for daily routines and stuff in 2026. So let's get in. Starting off with the display, we have a 6.1 LCD display and it runs 60 Hz. Well, it's been like that for a while, so it's fine. And it is a pretty good display, I would say, and even though it's not OLED, it was basically at the time a budget phone. Now it's really budget. Well, back in the day, I can't believe I'm saying this. In 2018, this phone was around 700 something dollars USD, and now it's usually 150 for $150 if you were to buy it on eBay used, or really any single um online third party marketplace like Facebook Marketplace or something like that. And I would say that the phone is actually a pretty good phone to hold in the hand. As we can see, it is pretty big, but it's still usable. You can still one hand the whole thing. As you can see, I have pretty big hands, so for people with smaller or mid-sized hands, this could be, I don't know if I could say if it's an annoyance or anything, but it is convenient to hold, better than the newer phones like the iPhone 17 Pro Max, which is way too big. I can say that with a 6.9-inch display. And anyways, I would say the how it runs. We have an Apple A12 chip, so the A12 chip, it was actually given the same chip as the iPhone X 10s Max back in 2018, which was the the high-end phone of Apple back then. So it's actually running the same one as their high-end one, which is actually a really nice thing. Now, obviously, yes, I'm just testing this out right now. This is not a sponsorship. I'm just testing out how the game works on here. Let's just to cover that up. But anyways, it has aged somewhat well, I would say, because it is a pretty good processor. Oh, and I just died. It is good still, but you would still see its hitches, as you can probably expect. But for the most part, it is pretty decent. It's better than budget phones where you would get a pretty laggy experience on an unoptimized uh, processing on DOS, and that alone will probably make you suffer on those more budget phones. So I think this is a good pickup for the basics and all, and it would be just a good use if you would like to say that, because if you're just a person who uses basic stuff like calling, texting, this actually has eSIM support, so this is really nice. It's one of the first iPhones to have that, and I think this is like a good pickup for people who are at least maybe like a preteen or something like that, or your kid's first phone or something, or just a older person who doesn't really care about uh having the most biggest stuff on the phone. This also goes for people who are regular people like that. So yeah. Up next is the camera. The camera itself is actually a pretty decent one. We are getting a 12 megapixel front rear camera with 1.8 f aperture, and on the front we are getting we are getting a, hold on about this. We are getting a 7 megapixel, um, we're getting a 7 megapixel front facing camera, which is decent, I can say, and it would do the job basically. It does pretty good photos for what it is. And let's just take a photo on this to see how it runs. Let's just take a photo. Yep. This is how the photo would look like. And it does a good job at detail, but if you do zoom it out a lot more, you will see the graininess in the pixels. But I'm pretty sure no one really zooms out that much on photos. So yeah, it does the job better than some phones like the Itel A04. I don't know if you guys know that, but it's e-waste. Yeah. But yeah, this is a good thing for cameras. If you're just a person who just likes to share Instagram photos or use like just do videos on this for, I guess, basic stuff like YouTube purposes, I guess. Social media wise, it's all good. You do get, I'm not gonna open up the social media, but it is a pretty good experience, I would say. And it does the job. TikTok isn't that laggy, but it may eat up with the battery life. It used to be, maybe this is just on my end, but yeah, it is on my end. But even with the full battery, the battery wise, it's pretty mid. So we are getting a somewhat in the 30,000 milliamp hour battery, and it is pretty good. I would say it's a pretty big. It's bigger than the iPhone 10s. That's what I'll say. And for mine, it is 79%. It does run pretty good, but it can sometimes throttle the phone. So just keep in mind with that. Up next, we have the speaker test, and it has a pretty loud speaker, and it has stereo. Actually, has it's the first iPhone with stereo sound, so that's a pretty nice touch. Well, it was marketed at budget, but yeah, that's what I want to point out. On mid volume, it does sound really nice. The stereo gives it a lot of bass compared to other ones before the stereo ones. And a lot of budget phones don't even have stereo speakers, so this is a really nice addition to it. I'll just put it up all the way. Sorry, mine kinda sounds, I don't know if you can sound, I don't know if you can hear it, but it sounds a little distorted on my end. But on a regular one, like anyone other than this one, it's gonna sound the same. It's gonna sound really nice. It's just because I guess I put some water on it on mine, so it was by accident. So it doesn't really matter. It does not sound like how it would sound on mine. Yep, really nice sound. Absolute cinema. But anyways, getting into this, my final conclusion on this phone is that if you're someone who is a person who's budget conscious, don't really care about most new features nowadays, and just want a phone that just is simple and does a job, gets your calls, texts, games, or light browsing, social media, I think this phone is a great fit for what is worth for nowadays. Yes, it might have its issues, like it will throttle sometimes due to the battery because it's aging, or you could just get like a battery replacement, which is going to be much better. But even with that, if it's less than 75%, I think you should get the battery replacement. Under that, it'll be a really good phone. It'll be a really good phone for its price point as of right now. And yeah, um, just keep in mind that it does have lightning. So people who are USB Type C people, you will need to get a lightning cable. which is not hard because it's almost sold everywhere. But yeah, so that's what I want to say about this phone, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for the next one. I am kind of an infrequent poster on this channel, so I would just like to say thank you for all the people who stuck beside me the whole time. Comment, like, and share, which I should do next. Uh, excuse me with that. And stay tuned for the next video. And always, peace out.